What is non-duality? Basically, non-duality is this amazing nothing. It's so much fun. But I feel like a lot of people who talk about non-duality, they almost forget one part of it. If there were two parts, of course, which there isn't, so nothing's really happening. But there is something that I'm absolutely obsessed about and fascinated about, and those are stories. It's like reading a book or watching a movie. Like, I know it's not real, but still, it's pretty entertaining. So, if I could explain what non-duality is, obviously it's no two. That means there's no two things. That means that this is it. There's nothing else outside than this. This is this. And then there is that nothing, which is completely nothing, and that happens in your mind or in your imagination. Those are the stories and voices and thoughts, including yourself, the image about yourself you hold and about other people. Everything is a story, and it's like a timeline that runs in our heads. I mean, it's not even inside of the head, right? Because it's invisible, so it cannot have a location, but it's a timeline that it's undeniable. I cannot say it's visible or even it's nothing, but it's undeniable. When I believe it, like, it produces certain emotions in my body and even physical sensations, so I cannot deny it. And that's why I love stories, and I love looking to this part of this non-existent part of non-duality. This, if I could really summarize non-duality, would be in 1 and 0. When 1 and 0 to get 1 and 0 together, it's one. It's everything, but this everything also includes. It must include nothing as well, because everything without nothing is just nothing. So everything with nothing together is everything. So we have to include those stories. Well, we don't have to. There is nobody there to include the stories anyway. But if there were two parts of you, which there isn't, but if there were, there's one which is simply a being. It's completely effortless. It's so intimate that you can't even recognize it, because it's just everything that you are. It's simply being. It has no agenda. It's completely eternal. And then there's the person, the voice in the head, which is completely unreal. And that one has always an agenda, because it lives in a storyline. It lives in this timeline, and it comes from somewhere, and it goes somewhere. It's full of expectations and hopes, because that's how it survives. It's because it's got a problem. There's the end of the timeline is gonna die at some point, so it has to create a whole bunch of stories, and that's what we do. We create a whole bunch of stories in our heads all day long. We walk around and just like telling ourselves stories all day long. So it's just undeniable, and so I'm completely fascinated by non-duality, but also by stories and story making. And I always wanted to bring somehow these two together, well, as if they weren't already, if they were two, which there isn't. What I'm trying to say in here is that I've created something which is super cool, and I want you to experience it. I call it Mindflix. It's basically a movie that you watch on your mind screen, and it really comes from this principle that we don't have to watch a movie, we can just imagine. And in this Mindflix, it's called All the Time in the World. So it takes you on this journey into this story, into timelessness. And it's actually interesting because it's a story about time travel, but a time travel into timelessness. So again, it combines those two things that are not really two. But the whole point is that it's a very unique experience, like nothing you've ever experienced before. Time after time you are free and not know it. Come to the place where regret means nothing. Because you are already flying. It's basically an audio journey which is narrated. I am the voice in your head. I know it can be a little strange for men to begin with, but you'll just get sucked into the story just like you get anyway. You know, when you have the voice of your mom in your head, you don't even notice. Anyway, what I'm saying is that this movie is narrated. It's a journey. It's a movie. It's got a story. It's got characters. It's got a plot. It's got a challenge. It's got everything what a story in a movie has. And it also comes with cinematographic music. There was a dozen of people working on this whole project to put it together to make it extremely amazing. Very beautiful music and sound effects that will like suck you into this story, into this movie. So you watch this with your eyes closed or blindfolded or whatever, and you'll be surprised how much your mind can create without even like looking on your phone and your screen all the time. It's almost like better than VR, I would say, because VR is still pretty limited. Your mind is almost unlimited. It really can create pretty much anything. And another interesting part about Mindflix is I made it it's interactive. That means that you can make this movie your own. And the way to do it is basically I'm using something that's called sentence stems. So some parts of the story is a little incomplete, and you know, the mind just cannot stand incompletion. It just has to put something in there. So you'll be filling in the gaps with either your own imagination or your own parts from your own life. You can put your own people in there and your own challenges. So this whole story about time travel will become your own and will take you into past and into the future in a way that you can't imagine, or it's very unexpected, this whole story. It's very, as I'm saying, it's not your regular time travel movie, because really the whole point is to take, if there was a point, which there isn't, but if there was, the whole point would be to take you into timelessness through a story. So yeah, that's the whole point, to create a story that will take you beyond stories. It will take you to what you really are, essentially. And I'm just like super stoked to hear your feedback already, but also wanted to tell you that it comes also with an inside journal, which will tell you a little bit more, once you watch this movie and fill in the gaps, then you can write it down, your answers that your mind came up with, and it will give you some extra insights, maybe some extra dimension to look at your own story in your life, instead of just deny it doesn't exist, but just like look at it, like look what actually is being put into motion. And also created this song unexpectedly, which I already mentioned, so you can download that one as well. And for those of you who don't understand my English, I also put a transcript in case you didn't understand all the words, or maybe missed something, and if you wanted to come back, you can. So you have this whole thing ready, movie ready. And so if you are interested in watching this movie and embarking on this very unique experience that really has never been done before, then you will find all the details that you need in the description of this video, just below over there somewhere.